Hey, welcome to Camping with Steve. Today it is cold. It's about minus 40 degrees Celsius, which is minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit as well. That's where they both meet up. So with that extreme weather, I'm actually going to hunker down tonight in a U-Haul van because the price is right at $19.95 in town, plus kilometers if I don't drive too far. And it's a lot safer than going into the river valley to play cat and mouse with the park rangers because this is serious weather. People do die out here. So until I'm more experienced in this temperature with just what I can carry in a backpack, I'm gonna be in here for now. So eventually I'll get it down, but it's so hard to carry all that gear that you need for these temperatures in just a backpack and looking conspicuous. So I'm gonna throw all this together and we'll get back set up. I've got moving blankets that I'm gonna hang up in here, and I think a magnet will hold them on. So I'm gonna run into the store, grab a magnet. That was kind of cool. I ran into a subscriber here. He was honking at me, but yeah, these moving blankets should give us some insulation in here. And I know this is not a typical normal camping video, so apologies ahead of time, but I do rotate through a stealth one, then a strange one, then a project build, and then kind of a normal one. So stay patient if you're not into this sort of thing, but otherwise, like, I don't mind if you bail on this video, obviously. But we'll get these moving blankets up, and we'll get this whole thing set up. I got these little ceramic bar magnets, and I'm trying to use them to hold this on. They're not all that strong, but where there's a will, there's a way. I can pinch these in here, and we'll get, this will be some nice good insulation, and it'll help block out a lot of the front of the cab so nobody can see the hunkering down that's going on in here. Got some of it set up here. It's actually working out fairly good. I haven't closed off this panel here yet because the engine's running and that's letting some of the heat through. And this one I'll close off a little later because that's my in and out door to get in and out. Unfortunately, they don't have a little door between the front and the back. So it's gonna work. I'm gonna move on to a different location here and get this more permanently set up. We're gonna scope for an actual spot to set this up tonight. Okay. Most of these supercenter parking lots like Walmart and stuff, some are friendly, many are not. This one is not, but there's no thrill in this if you're allowed to just park at Walmart. So I gotta show you a few other potential areas that are always good for looking for a spot to park in a pinch. And you know, I've known people that I don't know them personally, but I've heard of people that will rent a van like this and take it on vacation like an RV. You know, get a big one and throw a full bed in the back and get it all set up. And it costs a fraction of renting an RV, and you got an awful lot of space enclosed. So I know I'm not the first person to do this either, so I just figured it would be a fun one for today. We're gonna hit the industrial area, and I'll point out a few things about the industrial area. Well, this is your typical business park, business/industrial area, and it looks like it does fit in place here, but the problem is in the evening this place is completely deserted. All these work vehicles pretty much take off. So this is gonna really stick out. And these are patrolled areas, extremely patrolled. And for some, these vans just give off that burglars from Home Alone vibe. So we're gonna move on to where somebody may be actually using this to move. So this Walmart used to be camper friendly, but you can see they're not so keen on that anymore. So I'm gonna take my U-Haul elsewhere and continue looking. But this is a hit and miss. Some of them don't mind, some of them do. A hotel parking lot can be a viable option, and I haven't done this in years, so I haven't really been up to speed on the stealth parking, stealth camping stuff. But I did successfully park my RV back in the day for up to 2 months at this hotel, and that was actually so strange they never knocked on the door once. But I think my best bet is an older, kind of moderately dense residential area with a bunch of construction going on, that type of thing. So I'm going to look around for that, and then I'm going to park this, get out and walk around to not cause too much suspicion, and then I'll return to the vehicle and we'll get set up and hunker down and cook some food, all that good stuff. Okay, now I have found a spot in a residential neighborhood, a normal residential neighborhood. A lot of houses here, apartment building right back there, empty lots, houses for sale, houses sold, so that's awesome. I am parked right here beside this vacant lot, and I'm gonna get out of the car, crawl into the back. It's all blacked out, but once this traffic subsides, the people driving past, I'll get that a little more comfortable inside. Wow, does this take me back to those days living in the RV where I was looking for a spot to park. Didn't want to freak any people out in the neighborhood, but just needed a spot to park. So it is a trip down memory lane here, guys. Okay. We're gonna get into this thing, and turn the light on here. That should make a world of difference. Okay, inside things are pretty much insulated. That should definitely help. I don't have a reading on the temperature yet, but I'll get one fairly soon here. We're running the Mr. Buddy heater. That'll get some warmth going fairly quickly. I put down this mat from home so that I don't cause any problems with the rubber coating on here, because I got the all insurance special on this guy, but it still is $150 deductible, and I don't need that type of stuff. So the propane at this temperature will actually have trouble vaporizing, so you could pretty much, at minus 44, you could spill it out of there and it wouldn't evaporate. It would just sit there like gasoline. So that is definitely inside here, because otherwise it won't work at all. And you can see it does have some trouble vaporizing at the moment. There's little hisses and stuff, but I have the light here running off of the power pack, and I gotta make sure my olive oil doesn't freeze on me. I can see it already wants to. So I have a thermometer tonight, so we're gonna see what the temperatures are like inside and outside. And the way I have the windows covered up, you can't really get in and out and take a peek, but I'm using the side door as the main in and out door. I'm gonna go outside and take a peek to see what we've got as far as visibility. And of course I have my carbon monoxide detector with me as well. Now this Mr. Buddy has a low oxygen shutoff, and I do have the windows cracked because we would run out of oxygen for sure in the middle of the night. So we'll take a peek outside, and this is neat. I think it's the aspect that probably it's frowned upon, but I didn't see anywhere in the rules on the fine print of renting this thing that you can't camp in it. And I don't know, we'll battle the elements tonight and see how it goes. And so there's some light coming through. I'll put on another blanket. That should help. Of course, walking around with a camera on doesn't keep it low key, but that looks like it'll do just fine. I've tried to keep the heat down as low as possible. I'm dressed for this despite how it looks. I've got a couple layers of thermal pants on, a bunch of, oh no. Yeah, we're running into heat problems. I think it's a vaporization issue because this cylinder is having some issues, and so is this. So My banana's frozen for the morning. Unbelievable. Let's see if we can get this back in business. Hard to say. I'm gonna keep working at this and hopefully get this place real warmed up. I was trying to avoid all the frost on the windows in the morning and all the inevitable ice buildup because there's no insulation, but we're gonna have to heat this thing up for anything here to work properly. Okay, so we got that figured out. This one, there's 2 regulators on it and you can tie into either side. That one seems to be having an issue. There could be ice buildup in there or that type of thing, so we'll have to take a look at that regulator eventually. But carbon monoxide alarm, I never leave home without it. Great for camping. And I gotta start cooking some food here. This is my butane stove. It's probably the worst thing I could be using because butane doesn't like to flow unless it's above 0. It's warming up in here a bit. It seems to work. So that's good. And my olive oil, I'm gonna get this started before this olive oil is completely solid. So it's, oh, that'll work, that'll work. Okay. Touch of olive oil. I'm throwing in some stewing pork today. Not beef for once. Hard to believe. And as you can see, there's never any need for a cooler or ice or anything out here. This has just been from sitting in here against the wall. It froze up on me. So fry up some pork, and we'll get into the rest of this frozen hunker down type of meal. So while that's cooking, I'm going to enjoy my step 2 today. And being in the vehicle, just having one, then I'm getting this empty out of here right away because I don't want open liquor ticket or anything. Not intoxicated clearly because I got to play by the rules somewhat when I'm in a vehicle parked on a public street. Yep, not even slightly frozen. So cheers to all the step 2 people. I'm drinking something better than normal, Granville Island Lion's Winter Ale because, well, it's winter. And wish you guys were all here having one with me. But until then, we'll just have to do this over YouTube, having a beer together. I like these winter ales. They're a thicker beer. It's warming. It warms the soul. This cooked up nicely, and I'm gonna throw in some vegetables, and well, a vegetable and a fungus, some mushrooms and onions, the 2 culprits that always cook down to basically nothing. It never seems to matter how many mushrooms I throw in. You get a tiny little spoonful at the end. We'll let those cook up, and then it'll be on to the next part of it. It's these things, honey garlic noodles from the Sidekick sort of thing. So it'll form together like a nice pasta, I always get called on that. A nice noodle dish. So that's what it's going to be. Cooked up nicely. You can see how miserable this little flame is. I have to keep warming up this butane cylinder with my hand to keep it going because it's just a little too cold for the butane. But I'm going to finish off this for this according to the directions on the package. Noodles. Put in some water, a couple of cups. And I am using this bottled water. I do have a canister that I refill with water, and actually I refill these a lot too. But I find when I have my water spread out into these little ones, there's less of a chance it'll freeze, which it has. But I could keep a few in the sleeping bag with me at night so that I get water in the morning. And of course, it's not a good recipe without a nice little portion of rich creamery butter. That is a pretty lousy looking flame. So, heat the cylinder up, bring this to a boil, and then we'll chow down. Well, that cooked up okay. I'll have to admit that. I get some mushrooms in here. Oh yeah. And yeah, there is obviously some processed food involved in my style of camping, like these ready-to-go noodle packages. But there is a convenience factor because I can't bring the whole spice cabinet with me, and I'm gonna start prepping some meals, I guess. I'm slowly getting a little bit healthier. Nothing, no beef this time, no red meat, I don't know. Now that's good. And yeah, one of those larger vans would have been more convenient. I could have actually put a regular bed in the back and the TV and all that, but I didn't trust the doors because there's no passageway from the front into the back. So you're pretty much hoping that nobody closes that latch on the back or steals it and drives away while you're in it. Could be trouble for sure. Nice, warm, comfort food. That's what that is. Oh, yes. I'm gonna finish chowing down here. Try to keep everything from freezing on me, and then we'll do some temperature readings because it's coming up to about the coldest part of the night. I can tell you it's pretty comfortable in here. It's probably 70 Fahrenheit, 20 Celsius, so it's a comfortable temperature. But outside, I know for a fact, my phone, actually, the screen has seen better days, but it is telling me minus 35 tonight. Celsius, and in Fahrenheit that is getting down there. So we'll see what it actually says on the thermometer. Getting ready to hunker down. A good meal always does that to me, but the thermometer, I have it in the door well. I don't want to go outside and draw any more attention, but I've got the thermometer just in the side passenger door. And I'm gonna pull that out and see what it's reading now. It's probably 11:30 at night right now, and they're calling for the lowest temperature to be around 2 or 3 in the morning. Now, keeping in mind, there's also the heat coming off of this, so I will pull it out and see. Okay. It's actually not working well. It doesn't like the cold. And now it's up to, let's see, minimum minus 50 degrees Celsius. I don't think that's right. That would be minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what that shows, but there's no way that's correct, or else I'd be in trouble here. But in here, in the live temperature readings, we are Oh, I think that thing wrecked my thermometer here. Yeah, this is having some issues. But it's reading right around, I guess, 13 Celsius now, 13.4. So that's rising nicely, and that's in Fahrenheit will be, let's see, minus 50 Celsius. So yeah, it's around 60 degrees Fahrenheit in here. I can assure you it's not minus 50 outside, but it is cold, so I think somebody just walked by. Just a pedestrian walking by the sounds of it, but the best spot to park is obviously where there's not a sidewalk right beside you, but those are often in really nice neighborhoods where there's a ravine on one side, and that's a whole bunch of problems on its own. So I'm gonna crawl into bed, shut off the lights, hit the hay. See you in the morning. Gonna turn the heater down a little bit there. I would be interested to see how much frost builds up overnight on the inside if it's anything like the ice fishing tent. But yeah, I know everybody says you strip down to your bare minimum, but that's to stop the sweat from building up, and I don't see any sweat becoming an issue here, so anyway. Hey guys. Good morning. I found the point at which that power pack won't work. It's about minus 30. Then the light goes off, so I've got the windows open. It was a reasonably good sleep. I've been colder before. This sleeping bag probably should have been a little bit more substantial than just the one, but it did the job, so it's perfectly doable to camp out in one of these things. With a bigger one and a little more time, you can make it a lot fancier in here, a lot nicer. But I'm gonna just go to McDonald's for breakfast because banana's frozen, eggs are cracked. I was gonna poach a nice egg. I don't know. I just need a hot coffee, and I gotta use the restrooms too. I've got an emergency bucket here, but I like to not use that as much as possible. So we're gonna head to McDonald's. I think I got a coupon. I hope so. And I gotta grab a coffee and a sandwich, and well, first of all, use the restrooms, but we'll start this up because there's some frost on the windows, of course, which is to be expected. I was expecting worse than that, but I had the heater on pretty low last night so that it didn't give up too much condensation. But yeah, there's chunks of ice on the roof here that I gotta get this thing chiseled off before I bring it back, or else I'll lose my cleaning fee or something. I don't know. Yeah, McDonald's it is. The perfect crime.
Hi there, would you like to get the egg BLT bagel today?
No thanks.
Okay, what can I get for you?
Could I get a sausage and egg McMuffin meal with coffee to drink and 2 cream and 1 sugar? Thank you. You too. Eating good this morning. that really shows how difficult it is in these temperatures, because I had all the luxuries of a propane heater, a reasonably good sleeping bag, cots, a vehicle, and it was still a little tricky in a lot of ways. And, you know, there are people out there with, you know, piles of blankets in this weather, and that's about it. And soaking wet blankets after being out in the... So it shows you that, you know, I go out and I do this as an adventure, but I could see it getting pretty old after a while. Anyway, beautiful wife and I have decided, we got a bit of news, we're not renewing the lease on the little house that we're renting in Edmonton. And we are in the process of looking to buy an acreage around the Edmonton area. And that should be more useful in terms of the projects I build. You know, if we could have a little forest on there, or a little woods somewhere, I could build some, you know, shelters and stuff like that. So that's hopefully what we're going to be doing here within the next few months. And we're going to be traveling around and doing a little bit of a break from this cold weather. We're going to head somewhere a little warmer and do a different type of camping. So those are things that are lined up in the short-term future here. And yeah, you know, when I was a kid, McDonald's did not have all-day breakfast. You know, how many times when we were teenagers did we go rushing to McDonald's? And I think they stopped at breakfast at 10 or 11 or something. But after a big party on a Friday night, we were not getting there in time for what we were really craving, McDonald's breakfast. So 24-hour breakfast these days here. What an age we live in. Now I'm going to unload some of this stuff out of the van, and got to get this back to the rental place by 1 p.m. with 3/4 of a tank of gas, because they're pretty sticky on that point. So I've got a few hours here. Gonna zip home, unload this stuff, then return this, and hopefully beautiful wife's the SUV starts, because it's been parked there for 24 hours now in this weather. So we made it back to U-Haul and the car started, so that's awesome news. I was not expecting that, so I brought jumper cables just in case, but thankfully we didn't need them. I've got no idea how cold it actually got last night, because my cell phone is, the screen is shattered because of the cold. No, it's because I'm clumsy and I drop it. But there are also a few shout outs that I wanted to give to a few people that I had screenshotted, but I can't get into them to see it until I get my screen replaced, because it's well, another thing on the list to do. So thanks for watching, guys. We got a really good one planned for next week. It's building kind of an interesting structure for camping in, and we'll possibly get back out to the igloo again in some colder weather for a longer stay. I know it's always kind of odd what you're going to get on this channel, so thanks for watching. And if this is your first time, it's always something strange. So if you like that type of thing, please subscribe. And I got to get this thing returned, because it's been about 24 hours and well worth the $19.95 plus fuel plus kilometers. I don't know what the total bill is, but I didn't go too far. Maybe $30 or something. Who knows? Till next time, you're camping with Steve.